Ladies and gentlemen, Ebro in the morning. We have Harlem's banker back on the program, Nicole King. You are becoming like a friend of the show now. You're like a
Yes,
regular.
yes. I love it. I love everything about it. You know, I love the show, Ebro. I
Well,
told you that when I met you.
well, I love your support, and I love the energy you bring when you come on the show. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this lady is not. This is not an act. This is the same person you're gonna meet this Wednesday when we do a workshop at the JP. Is it JP Morgan Chase Community Bank? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, absolutely. The
Or
Harlem Community.
Community Center?
Yes, yes.
And tell me the origins of this community center. How long has it been here? Because I would love to know how long you've been working on this project, and just Chase Bank has been working on engaging the Harlem community.
Yeah, no, I love that question. So, just the history. So, 5 years ago, JP Morgan Chase was really reimagining how they support communities like Harlem. And they came up with a community banking model. And what we did was we sat around with some local stakeholders to really understand what the Harlem community needed. And they told us, they said, folks in the community want to learn about financial health education in a way that's not intimidating, and where we can meet them where we're at. So that's what we did. We created the first ever community center here in Harlem. But Ebro, we about to celebrate 5 years.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Yes, we're super excited about that. And this is now a national program where we have 150 community managers across the country. I was the first, as you know, and we opening up our 18th community center in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn in October. So we really,
Wow.
yeah, exactly.
And so Wednesday we're gonna have a workshop. But and that's just a obviously big promotion, get people in the door, get them introduced to you, get them familiar with the community center that they may or may not be familiar with. And oftentimes, in my experience and even in my own family, people are just intimidated by financial institutions. They don't, for lack of a better term, they don't feel worthy. They don't feel like they make enough money, or they don't feel like they know the questions to ask. So they're just like, I'm not going. Um,
Yeah.
my thing is always, well, you use a bank account for your direct deposit or whatever you're doing. And so you should have a relationship with these people, and their job is to actually teach you. Like, that's literally the job.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
you're absolutely right. So we understand, right? Like communities like Harlem, there's a big mistrust in banks, and rightfully so because of the history in terms of this country when it comes to banking. But that's exactly what my team does. My team actually goes out into the community to build trust, to help the community understand that JP Morgan Chase is the bank for all. And the best thing about this, Ebro, is that you don't have to be a Chase customer to get this education, right? It's open to everyone, it's free for the community. And we just want to really change the trajectory of Black and Brown communities and really help build generational wealth. So that's what we're out here doing. We're so passionate about what we do. And my team really comes from the communities that they work in. So you're meeting someone that looks like you, that has been through the struggle with you financially. So we're real proximate.
um, just going back to the historical significance that you mentioned, I'm sure there's somebody watching this is kind of, people love to negate or dismiss black folks' history in this country and things that have happened to them that have been traumatizing, that then that trauma is passed on through generations and makes people fearful of trusting banks. Let me just put my money in my mattress,
Yeah.
right? And so the history on that, I don't know if you're familiar with, there was a time, I believe, not only during Reconstruction but again in the 20s and 30s, and maybe even more recent than that, where banks literally just took black folks' money because they could, and the government wasn't going to step in and protect people.
Yeah, and I think a large part of this is us acknowledging the past, right? We can't I can't change the past,
That's right.
right? I can acknowledge the past, but that's why I'm in this role, and that's why I'm so passionate about this work, is because I want to change the trajectory and the future of Black communities across America. So acknowledging, the wrongs of the past, but let's move forward in partnership, and that's why we're working with amazing partners like Hot 97 to do so.
Some of this changing the future and really shaping the future is about understanding the work that needs to be done and how
Yes.
patient you need to be to make your money work on your behalf. This is not a it's not a slot machine. It's not a lottery ticket. It's not some sort of game. It is literally about understanding how money works, and how investment works, and how planning your finances works.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about that at the workshop this Wednesday. I believe the doors open 6 p.m. And what is the exact location?
So the exact location is 55 West 125th Street here in Harlem between Lenox and Fifth Avenue. You'll see us. It's a big, beautiful branch. It doesn't look like a traditional branch because as you'll see when you get here, it has a community space. We do small business pop-ups, and we're really an education hub for the community.
Um, can you give a little insight when I speak of planning? Some of the kind of headlines you give individuals. Imagine I'm sitting down with you and I say, Nicole, I make $100,000 a year, and I want to really start planning to buy a home.
Yes.
And what is your response to that?
Well, congratulations, Ebro, on getting on that path of homeownership. But for me, it's really about helping folks understand their relationship with their money and understanding their past financial trauma. So even if you make 100,000, 10,000, it really starts with understanding the difference between wants and needs. How are you using your money? Do you budget accordingly? Are you managing your credit wisely? So yes, I'm glad you're ready to purchase a home, but let's start talking about your financial behaviors. So that's where it starts, because if you don't know how to manage money when you have 100,000, you're not going to know how to manage money when you have a million.
And the reason you point me and are asking me to focus on my financial behaviors is because that's what the bank is actually looking at when they decide if they're going to help you actually buy a home, correct?
Absolutely. The bank is actually absolutely looking at that, but then also everything rises and falls on your financial behaviors. You'll be surprised. I get folks that are coming here and say, Nicole, I need to make more money. I need a second job. And then I pull up their bank statement and I look at their where they're spending their money, and I'm like, do you really need to buy 4 pairs of Jordan ones? You
Right,
only got 2 feet. You only got 2 feet,
right,
right? You need to be taking Ubers everywhere you go, like,
right.
so it's really about understanding the difference again between, your wants and needs, and really having, like you said, patience. It's not going to happen overnight, but you have to understand where you stand. And I'm just really excited that I'm going to be in partnership with you on Wednesday, because we're really going to get, talk that talk and really help folks understand right where they stand. And it doesn't matter where you're at. We're here with you along your journey, and you don't have to really be ashamed, because a lot of it too is shame,
Right.
and again, it's generational because we weren't taught these things, so
Hmm.
we're embarrassed, we feel inadequate, as you mentioned, but we don't have to. That's why me and my team is here. We're here to really help folks along their journey, and every journey begins with the first step, and we're just happy to be in partnership, as I mentioned, with Hot 97 to really help the community.
Your history. So you started doing what?
Yeah.
To where was your beginning? Were you a teller at a bank? Do you have a master's in finance? Like, what's the Nicole King story?
Nicole King story. Well, I do have a book coming out, Becoming Harlem's Banker. So
There
you'll
you
get the
go. You're an author. We know that. All right.
so you'll get the full story in the book. However, just a snippet of my story. So I have a very unorthodox entry into banking. So 2007, I like to say, was the best and worst year of my life. I lost my mom to lung
Sorry. God
cancer.
bless.
Thank you. God bless. In 2007, I purchased my first property, and I lost my job of 10 years.
Wow.
So what happened was, this very branch that we will be here in on Wednesday, I used to come once a month to look after my investments because I rolled over my 401k and I had my mortgage with Chase. And I used to have a company called Miss King Productions because Harlem did not look the way that it looks today. So what I did was I created a space where like-minded entrepreneurs and professionals can come and meet. So I would come into the bank once a month, sit down with my banker, because as you know, Ebro, you said everyone should have a
Gotta have a
relationship.
relationship.
Long story short, he said, I want to introduce you to my manager. And as they say, the rest is history. I've been here 16 years. This is my sixth job with the bank. I was the firm's first ever community manager, proved out the business model here in Harlem. Now it's a national program, and we're
Wow.
just getting started. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so that when did the I guess the for lack of a better term, when did the switch flip and Chase said we need to be more community focused. We need to get deeper into the community and build relationships, not just wait for people to come in and cash a check, but actually do outreach and create an environment. Was that something that you brought to them as a solution, or did that bubble up from somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for the record, it's important to note that JP Morgan has been in New York City over 200 years and in Harlem over 100. And so we've always been in the community in terms of having banking brick and mortar branches. But 5 years ago, we really understood that, our approach to community banking needs to change. And at that point, I was a business banker, really helping small businesses grow and scale. So they would come to me, the leadership, and ask me, Nichol, we're thinking about this community branch banking model, and we want your insights because we know that you're from the community. My dad is from Harlem. My folks migrated from Jamaica to Harlem, so Harlem is like in my blood through and through. So I pretty much opened up my Rolodex and let them know who they should be speaking to in the community to get insights. And then they came to me and said, we're thinking about this role that's really dedicated to going out into the community as opposed to waiting for the community to come in. And I went through 17 interviews, beat out 32 candidates, and was
Wow.
named the first ever community center. So I would say we've been very intentional about this, started 5 years ago.
Well, Nichol King, you will hear more about her on Wednesday if you're able to join us. And let me make sure I get the name right. It is the Chase Bank Harlem Community Center. Yes?
You got it.
All right. Boom. I don't want to botch that up because I do appreciate y'all doing that work up there. And I'm sure, hopefully, the community does too. And hopefully, we have some people show up who really want to drill into this convo. And I feel like the bulk of this conversation on Wednesday is, while it is about you and it is about the work and we will talk about money, everyone's financial journey is different. It's not a one size fits all. It's not like there's a magic bullet or, some kind of like prescription that we could come to conclusion on stage. That's not how it works. So we will have a conversation, but I think after the conversation is where more of the work begins and people actually get a business card, make an appointment, and it is, you must know. And because I've been on this journey, I'm damn near 50 years old. And, banking and understanding finances was not necessary. I mean, my mom was focused on credit, but it wasn't like we had a lot of money, so it wasn't like we had investments and all these sort of things. It very much so is about learning and not being afraid to ask questions and being okay saying, I don't know. Like, you have to be successful in making your money work for you. You have to know what you know, and you have to know what you don't know, and not be afraid. There is no dumb question.
Right. Yes.
It's
And I
important.
love that you said that, because a lot of it, as I mentioned before, is really being vulnerable and setting aside the shame. There's no shame because I didn't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
didn't go to school. Yes, I have a degree in business and economics, but no, I didn't like go to school and say, you know what, even they don't even teach this in school. This is
Right.
why we have like a partnership with CUNY and the Rock Nation School to bring this into colleges, because it's not really taught in school. So if you don't, to the listeners that don't know, it's okay not to know. But what's not okay is to continue to not know.
And
When
not ask.
It's right, and not ask. So come see me and Ebro, the old man, as we chop it up and talk about not only getting to the bag, but keeping the bag.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? I think it's also too. You brought up somebody buying four Jordans and this whole business too. Um, I would love for us, and I mean this is a whole generational thing. I would love for us to figure out a way to not be so materialistic, to where we, because that's what drives a lot of mistakes people make financially, is trying to appear as if you have it all figured out and appear as if you are a certain status financially when you're living above your means, and
Right,
being humble and saying, no, I'm not there yet.
right.
Like,
But
that's
I'm yeah,
okay. But I'm,
and
I'm on my path. I have a plan
I'm
and I'm
prepared.
executing my plan, but I'm not there yet. And I think that whole thing, that ability, especially for dudes, is like, man, dudes have a problem with that.
I know, but guess what? As a woman and as a lady, the ladies, I'm sure they would agree. I can't speak for all women, but I can speak for myself. We would rather, if I don't want you to have four different pair of sneakers, right? I want to see you like owning some stock. I want to see you being a
Right.
home. Because no, now I know you got wealth, right? You don't have money and material, you have wealth. It's so funny. My father used to say, when a guy asks you your number, Nicole, you ask them what's their credit score.
Facts. Facts. And if your credit score is bad, at least say it's bad, but I'm working on it. Have some plan. Have something.
Have something. Just
Cause
don't be like,
your mom might have put the phone bill in your name when you was a baby, so your credit might be in shambles. But we fixing it.
yes, we fixing it. And we got the tools and resources, and we're gonna have the conversation on Wednesday to help you fix it.
And the one pair of sneakers they do have to be clean now. Let's not get crazy.
Oh no, absolutely. Out here.
You gotta be clean. They gotta be clean. Nicole King, we will have this conversation more in depth on Wednesday. I said the doors open at 6. Is that correct?
Yeah, the doors open at 6.
All
Come
right.
through, and we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna make y'all see why money is sexy.
There
And
it
conversation
is.
about money is sexy.
Harlem's banker and the old man together talking finances Wednesday. We'll see you guys in Harlem. Thank you, Nicole, for your time today.
Thank you, Ebro.